Welcome into the Graham and Mac Lane podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham and Mac Lane. Week 13 in the books. Mac, we only have one more week of the regular season. And we went into this week. I know, right? We went into this week thinking it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. Everyone's going to handle their business. Did we think Pitt would beat Georgia Tech? No. Did we think Pitt would dominate? Question mark? Georgia Tech? Absolutely not. But we should have, Mac. We should have, because this season in the ACC has been absolutely silly. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah. No, it's chaotic, to say the least. And here we go. You know, Yellow Jackets back on the block. And I will say this is kind of the silver lining, I guess, for Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech fans, and maybe even myself, because as you just mentioned, I have grown so numb as we were in week 13 and getting out of week 13 that, you know, if this would have happened a couple weeks ago, I'd probably be more upset. I'd probably be, you know, banging on desks and flipping
It did
the
happen
table.
a couple weeks ago. They lost
it
State.
Forgot. You know, and it is crazy, you know, and I think you know, obviously no one feels worse than that locker room. Nobody feels worse than those players and that coaching staff and, you know, Coach Key. But to rub it in, like, you only get these opportunities few times in life. And it stinks when you just let them go through your hands. And it stinks when you have all the control in the world, you have all the excitement, all the hype, all the buildup, a really good team, a great coaching staff, and a great opportunity. And it just, there it goes. You know, it's gone. Because literally you're not playing in the ACC championship. You will not sniff the playoff. And maybe you could sit here and potentially argue if you do beat Georgia, maybe there's an at-large conversation, but I don't think so. I don't think there is. I think it's just when you look at strength of schedule and out-of-conference opponents and things, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't think it's attractive enough, on top of the fact that, you know, two of the losses that you have, you got beat down and just aired out, you know, by you know, a struggling team in NC State that is going to the postseason. We'll talk about them in a second. You know, they did beat Florida State to get to 6 wins, which is huge. And then just a Pitt team that just got embarrassed on national TV by Notre Dame comes to your house and embarrasses you on national TV in prime time. And so, you know, it's so unfortunate. And, you know, I know we'll dive into more of the game in a second, but I will say before the ball was kicked off, we had a great show and a great crowd and everybody was juiced up. And it is kind of interesting, you know, when we show up at night games, because, you know, that's a long time. That's 9 hours before kickoff. And we're asking people to come out, you know, to our show. And I'm not, you know, silly enough to think that we're game day. But that was cool, you know, and really appreciate and support everybody that did come out, because it was great. Some really funny, witty signs. I mean, there was a 45-minute window there where, I mean, it was packed. It was loud. It was awesome. So really, really appreciate everybody that did come out, support us. And it's just unfortunate that magical night couldn't have been capped off. And, you know, we're talking about Georgia Tech waiting on who's going to join them, you know, in Charlotte and join them in the ACC. Instead, KG, we're going to take it all the way to week 14 to find out who the participants are. And anyway, we'll see. We'll touch on that too. Let's get to a message from our friends over at Ingles. Listen, it's actually getting a little warmer, but we're close to cold season. So get your soups, get your chilies, get all your ingredients, go over to Ingles. We're going to get a message from them, and then we'll break down these games.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, you alluded to it. We talked about it for a second. Let's just start with that game. We were going to start with Miami, but honestly, let's start with Georgia Tech because, my goodness. Okay, Pitt beats number 16 Georgia Tech 42-28. Really an unbelievable first quarter. Pitt goes up 21-0. It was just a mess. And, you know, Georgia Tech's had a couple of these issues throughout the year. Slow starts. We've talked about that many times. Generally more on the road for them, not at home. So that was a bit shocking. And then, of course, the defense. I feel like it's almost like Georgia Tech just flew so close to the sun every week, especially lately. And this time, They flew way too close, and they obviously got burned bad. That defense looked rough, Mac, and like you said, this is a Pitt team that was dominated by Notre Dame. Heinzel really struggled in that game. He was great against Georgia Tech. No Des Reed. You
Mhm.
had a Boozy Turner, who had 21 carries for 201 and a touchdown. Freshman, he looked great, by the way. But I guess, Mac, maybe just what Pat Narduzzi said is true, you know? He
Yeah,
really didn't care. Now,
Pat.
it's hard to get motivated to play Notre Dame. I mean, who's ever heard of
I
them,
know.
right?
Yeah,
They
they
just
suck.
weren't they were looking ahead to Georgia Tech. That's what it was, Mac.
Right. That's what I think too. Yeah, honestly, it does. I am actually going to get a little fired up right here just because why not? This is the stuff that really drives me nuts is that a team can go out literally a week apart. I mean, we're talking 6 days and look so incompetent, look like they don't know what they're doing, don't know how to block, don't know how to read a defense, can't get separation, cannot run the ball, can't tackle, can't blitz, um, don't want to be there, at the middle of the game. And to go to this like Super Saiyan, Herculean effort in a conference game when it matters, it's just like, this is so dumb. It's so stupid. And it's another reason why I will never coach ever. I can't deal with that. I'd die. I would literally die. Cannot do it. Cannot do it. So anyway, yeah, it's frustrating, but they came out on fire and they ran the ball extremely well. Heinzel threw the ball all over the yard. I mean, he was dealing. And we probably should have expected it. We just didn't know how he was going to react, after that tough game, just because the Georgia Tech defense has been so bad all year. And that's what's so frustrating. You mentioned fly close to the sun. It's literally like I was in a time capsule and I went back and forth and we're talking about Miami from a year ago. It's the same exact thing. It's crazy how these teams cannot just play full complementary football, but it also just goes to show how hard it is to win and how hard it is, to put together a full, complete team that can consistently go out week in, week out and play and win.
Mhm.
But KG, when I look at the plan for, Pittsburgh, the way that they ran the ball so effective, that's as well as they ran the ball. Now, again, I know it was
Yeah.
against somebody that can't stop the run in Georgia Tech, but they ran the ball as well as they have all year, better than they have all year. And the way they did it with a true freshman, not their All-American who was hurt. And so it's crazy. Now, I do want to so all the credit in the world for Pitt. And listen, there was some momentum shifts, some big swings and turns, and they have 2 opportunities to kick a field goal to get more points at the end of the half. They missed both because there was a penalty. They got to re-kick it. They missed it again. And Georgia Tech had all the momentum in the world, all the excitement, all the hype, even so they were down or excuse me, up 2 scores. And you're just sitting here like, okay, what's going to happen? Georgia Tech is marching down the field, 10 play drives, 70 something yards, about to score. I'm literally talking to Kaki because she left early. Her and Ashley came. The whole family came. It was great in Cannon. And I'm talking to her just to make sure she made it back. And I'm like, this is crazy. Georgia Tech's about to march down. They're on the 5-yard line about to score, babe. And this place is going to go nuts. I hang up the phone. Haynes King throws a pick 6. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way that just happened. So the reason I laid it up that way, credit to Pittsburgh for not allowing Georgia Tech to rally. And then so that happens. Georgia Tech still comes back, is about to, do whatever. And they're holding strong and give credit to the defense. They played significantly better in the second half. Now, part of that, I think, Pitt, took their foot off the gas pedal and started playing scared. But I hate when people do that. Another reason I'll never coach. And they're finding out they're in a weird position. And then this dude just busts out a 50-yard run touchdown. You're like, okay,
Boozy.
it's over. It's over now. Like, it's for real over. But give credit to GT for never quitting. I mean, literally, it's like 28-0, and I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And yet they just fought, and ultimately, Pitt flexed their muscles, and it was truly over there. But frustrating game, to say the least. And Pittsburgh with an outside chance. I mean, here's the way that this is shaken out. If Virginia wins, they're in. If they
Yeah.
beat Virginia Tech, they're in. If SMU wins at Cal, who just fired their coach, we'll talk about that a little bit later, they are in. And somehow, Pitt can beat Miami, and they're right there tied and will be on the outside looking in, I guess, because of opponent winning percentage or whatever
Yeah.
that tiebreaker scenario is, which stinks, that's what it comes down to. But, at the end of the day, they made it happen, and Pittsburgh got the big dub.
Okay, this is just a quick sidebar. With all of this craziness, because we could end up, like we're talking about, have 3 teams at 7-1. Should we go back to some form of divisions? Like, do you think that's because we're going to see this all over the place at different leagues. It's just kind of a mess. Now, are the divisions any better, right? Because
Right.
you used to have a 7-5 coastal team playing Clemson or Florida State every year, but I just don't know. Is there a right way to do this? I guess the reality is you just need to win all your games. If you go 8-0, you're going to be in there unless you have 3
Yeah.
teams go 8-0, which I'm not sure is mathematically possible.
Do you know who, with every ounce of their fiber, wishes there were divisions? Wake Forest, because they would be in. They would
Well,
be in the ACC.
Virginia and SMU.
I know.
Crazy.
And they would be on the Atlantic right now. As I'm pulling up these standings. They would be in the Atlantic at 4-3. They would be in against a 6-1 Virginia or Pitt or SMU or whoever, which
Wow.
is bonkers to think about and to look at. Or maybe
And-
SMU, who knows? Maybe they would have been in
Yeah.
the Atlantic. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened kind of with that. I don't know. I still like having the 2 best teams, and it does stink that this potentially, and maybe it won't. Maybe it'll all shake out and it's fine if Miami handles business, but can we count on that? I don't know. It will be fascinating if we do have a tie and it comes down to opponent win percentage, something you literally have no control over.
But the reality is you did lose at least 1 game. So
Sure.
control your
Just
destiny
win, baby.
and win all the games. And, I get that. But more on this game, Mac, we talked about how the old playoff commissioner guy who's out now, when he talked about Georgia Tech getting dominated on both sides of the ball. Now, they were dominated defensively. Offensively, I know they scored 28, but the picks from Haynes King were a bit shocking. Like, this is a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. He almost always makes the right decision. But I thought Pittsburgh's blitz was able to speed him up a few times. Like, the first pick was just crazy. I mean, it's almost like he just threw it up there. And then the second pick, of course, being returned to the house. It's really tough when you see Haynes King in a situation like that with all he's done for Georgia Tech, with, being one of the greatest players, I would say, in their school's history, to have that kind of game and those picks in this type of situation. That's just, it was brutal to watch for him a little bit.
It's the worst day to have your worst day.
Yes.
Senior night, last home game ever. It sucks. And that's part of it. That's part of, the brutality of this sport. And it's, it's something where even still he has them in the game. I mean, I can't imagine without him, what that looks like just because of
But like
how
the
well.
pick six, even the first one,
I know. What's even crazier though, now that I'm just kind of looking at this box score, the fact that Malachi Hosley had 1 rush is nuts to me.
That's
nuts.
wild.
Haynes King had 20 carries.
Yeah, the run game. I mean, and Pitt blew us away because Pitt hasn't been able to run the ball all year. And then you come out with Boozy, and I just love the name. It's amazing. That was incredible. And it just, Mac, there were a few times, especially that last run by Turner. It felt like Georgia Tech's defense was just the Red Sea parting. Like, that was
weird. And
so
there was,
tough
I
to
mean, it's
watch.
like you think of, again, all the things. At first, nothing went, it's not like stuff was going wrong. They were just killing them. Like Pitt was just blowing them out. But then, like, you're getting this comeback and you're right there and the pick six happens. And then you can't get out of your own way and you're moving the ball, you're flinching the ball. There's like 3, infraction penalties in a drive that killed it and ultimately ended in no points. You go for it on 4th down, nobody's open, and just there were so many things that just kept adding up. And you're like, Georgia Tech literally cannot win this game. There's nothing that is going, right for them. And Pitt was able to capitalize. So fascinating to see what it means, what it all equates to, and where this ultimately ends up. But you're right. It is super unfortunate. Now, the good thing, for Haynes and Georgia Tech and all these, I mean, they play Georgia right now. I mean, this week you're sprinting into it. And listen, they hate those guys, everybody involved, especially their head coach. And now the best thing you can do is go ruin their season and put a big, kind of damper on them and see what kind of happens there. So who knows? It's a lot still in front of you, yet it feels like so much was taken
Mm.
away. Even though you won 9, like, listen, when we do
Yeah.
recaps, we're going to talk about this and it's going to be really positive, but I know it sucks right now in the moment because literally because of one loss, everything just ripped away. But that's college football, and that's why it's the best and the worst at the same time.
And I wanted to add that overall for Georgia Tech, if they finish
Unbelievable.
9-3,
Yeah.
or they beat Georgia and finish
Right.
10-2, or they finish 9-3, win their bowl game, like this is a huge step
Huge.
in the
Huge.
right direction for Georgia
Yeah.
Tech. We were all talking about them as a sleeper team in the
Mhm.
ACC, but
Mhm.
I don't think anybody really thought playoff, like really thought playoff. So this is a massive step for Georgia
Yeah.
Tech. Even with this, I know, like you said, you had such an opportunity,
Yeah.
but obviously the program's very healthy and Brent Keys. You just got to fix that defense. Got to figure out
Uh,
what's going on with that
which,
defense.
is that play? I mean, it has to be players. You just hired a DC. I mean, you're not getting rid of that guy. So you just got to go get, more players, recruit, portal, figure it out. Need to get bigger, need to get faster. Part of it. And
Yeah,
he's learning too. Like Gideon's learning. Like literally, he's a first year play caller.
right.
As a defensive coordinator. Like it'll work itself out. It just stinks to feel like something was wasted, in a
Mm.
sense.
Well, speaking of getting bigger and faster, let's talk about Miami. Miami beat Virginia Tech, number 13, Miami 34-17. And, maybe not as dominant as the score indicated because you did score late, but
Mhm.
heck, good. Score late because I'm not
Yeah.
sure all these people are watching. So make sure 34-17 looks better than a one-score game or two-score game. Carson Beck was 27 of 32 for 320 and 4 touchdowns. He was really good. Malachi Toney was freaky Mac, 12 catches for 146. I think the main thing, this game was kind of, like, to be honest, a little boring. It kind of just felt like Virginia Tech couldn't, they weren't good enough to win the game. And Miami was just not sleepwalking. Like, I thought they were focused enough, but it wasn't, the Syracuse or NC State or whatever. And of course, it was in Lane Stadium. James Franklin was there. There was a lot of motivation for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
My main thing for Miami, Mac, is still they couldn't really run it, which
Mhm.
concerns me. And then they did have 9 penalties for 88 yards. Like, how are we still doing that, Miami?
I
But
know.
they won. The score looks pretty good, so we'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, and it was. I mean, it's frustrating that you can't run the ball, right? Like that's again, it's supposed to be your MO, and you had gotten back to it, and I'm even showing a tape, of all these great runs and how they're doing different things, and you're going against a team that prides themselves on stopping the run in a place that's hard to play, and new coach, all that juice. So I get it, but also I don't get it. Just be who you are. Who cares where you're playing or who you're playing? You're supposed to do your thing. And then they couldn't stop the run. I mean, they gave up 200 yards rushing, to a team that, is really, they've struggled all year. I mean, it's not like Virginia Tech is some powerhouse of an offense here. So that's a little bit concerning to me. But again, at the end of the day, I thought it was a great win and getting it done on the road. Carson Beck, one of his best games of the year, very clean, very efficient. Some nice deep balls, getting the ball out, guys, quickly. You mentioned Malachi Toney, how special that dude is. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's just a baller. Put him anywhere, get him the ball any way you can, let him create. What was really, really fun to watch here. And then just to see this opportunity for Miami. Listen, none of the, I believe, top 15 or top 14, whatever it ends up being, lost. And so what happens? When this college football playoff, ranking comes out on Tuesday, is there any shakeup? Does anybody move closer? What kind of, probably not. And that means, how important this next week coming into week 14 is really going to be as your, potential last, hurrah for a lot of these teams that aren't playing in a conference championship weekend. And Miami is going to most likely be one of them. So you've really got to put it on and specifically looking at like what Notre Dame did, and we'll transition maybe to them next year. They know that, and they put a hurting on Syracuse, 70-7. They probably let them score 7. They didn't need to do that. They allowed them to do that. Probably could have scored 100 if they really wanted to. Miami has to have that in mind when they play Pittsburgh. Obviously, win the game. You just saw what happened. They have the ability to beat you, handling Georgia Tech the way that they did. But if you have the opportunity, you have to again score in bunches and have those, type of style points there. So we'll see. It's going to be a fascinating, end of week here, and we're going to have a lot to talk about come Friday.
Well, and we talked about this with Miami and we said this a couple weeks ago. I was like, okay, best case scenario, Miami, is Louisville wins the league.
Mm-hmm.
And then that helps your strength of schedule. Now, Louisville has tanked. We will get to them next.
They're trying to get a
But
high draft pick, KG. Did you know that?
yeah, right. But flip it. Best case scenario now for Notre Dame, and I think this is actually just as good as that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
SMU wins the league. If SMU wins the league, they win. They beat Cal, who doesn't have a coach anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then they beat probably Virginia in the ACC championship. Then not your one loss, you have two, but one of your losses is to an ACC champion who's in the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting. And it just goes to show, Mac, how much can change in college football. Like if we're thinking back to middle of the season, we're thinking back to like that SMU Clemson game when SMU dominates and we're thinking, okay, like how good is SMU? Then they lose to Wake Forest. And none of us are thinking that. But the season is so long. And of course, they shouldn't have lost the Wake Forest game. But that's the best case scenario thing for Miami. You need to go work Pitt, like beat him as bad as Notre Dame did, right? Because that's a common opponent. And then you need SMU to continue to play well and win the league.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You do. And, just looking at SMU, I mean, they were fantastic and they are playing their best football right now. And so they had a huge win over, Louisville there, at home, kind of big showing there for their fans who did great all year. I think it's the most attended season in a long, long time there at Ford Field and the things that they, brought to the table. And Kevin Jennings just is a baller. I mean, this guy is so good, so fun. And he's been hurt all year. It looked like he got a little bit banged up again in this game. He was going to try to slide and he kind of got up limping. I'm like, oh my God, this is just brutal. But still had a fantastic game, over 300 yards. Through the air, 3 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns through the air there. And a defense that's playing really, really well. Like they have picked it up this last month on limiting big plays, obviously taking it away. They take it away more than anybody in the country. Get after the quarterback, get sacks. They've got their pass rusher back. They feel great about that. And, just this way that they're going in there. I mean, listen, Louisville had a lot wrong, right? Didn't have their starting quarterback for whatever reason. He magically was hurt all of a sudden. Didn't have your top 2 running backs and your third one barely played. Louisville's pulling people out of the stands. Like, can you run? Can you run the ball? Come down here, play running back. So they were very, very hurt. But anytime you hold an opponent to 100 yards passing, I mean, that's crazy work. So big kudos to them. And the Mustangs, I mean, they're rolling and they're playing their best football right now. So you got a big opportunity, obviously, to get back to Charlotte 2 years in a row, first 2 years in the league for these guys to be going to the AC championship is nuts. And yeah, obviously that means the playoff is right there in reach for you.
Can you imagine, Mac? I mean, this is very much in reach. If you win the league, which you're playing Cal now, who doesn't have a coach, SMU making the playoff their first 2 years in the ACC.
That's crazy. That's why you made the move. That's why you made the move.
Well, yeah, obviously. I don't even think Bill Armstrong would have predicted that.
Come on, Bill.
SMU Mustangs.
Hey,
come on.
He might have known. I don't know.
Well, 38-6 was dominant. Also, really enjoyed our guy Roy Philpott on the call. He was fantastic, as he always is. 2 interesting notes here, Mac. Louisville held without a touchdown for the first time since their 16-6 loss to Florida State in the 2023 ACC title game. We all know what happened after that. And then this is crazy. This compared, when you compare it to other programs in the ACC, certain programs that have struggled in November, with Louisville being one of them, SMU is 14-1 in November since Rhett Lashley's been the head coach.
It's important. It's important. It's why they extended him, why they paid him all that money. I mean, that's when you should be playing your best ball. That's when you're playing your most impactful football. And the proof's in the pudding with that guy. I mean, he's a winner. That's just point blank period. And, a fantastic ball coach. That's a great record and something that obviously has served him really well, playing in a ton of championship games. And now squarely looking down the opportunity to get back to another one and maybe another college football playoff if he gets it done.
And really hoping, like you said, that Jennings is okay. Because I thought for the most of the game, he was looking healthier.
Oh,
Like
I know.
that's what was exciting.
Yeah. I'm not going to say any names, but I'm going to say this. We're watching the game, and somebody, not me, I'm not telling you who, somebody says, man, he looks so good. He looks great. I swear to goodness, 5 seconds later, he goes and slides and gets up, and I'm like, oh,
No. Taylor, what are
I
you
don't know
doing?
who it was. I don't know who it was, but it wasn't EMAC. So don't come at me,
Wasn't
SMU
Mac.
fans. Got it?
Got it. All right, let's run through the rest of these games here, Mac. Let's start with NC State, Florida State. Okay, we're going to start there. Friday night. It was a hideous football game. I mean, just hideous. NC State wins. They're bowl eligible, Mac. Yay!
Ooh.
They win 21-11. Well, this is a crazy stat. I'm going to add this. NC State has now won 6 of the last 7 against Florida State. That's crazy. If you had told a Florida State fan, I mean, Florida State fans are like, you're just adding on to our misery. You're just throwing out crazy stat after crazy stat that just makes this terrible. The punt. NC State punting. And Florida State they're only at 14-11. Florida State could get the ball back, could possibly go win the game. They punt this ball. It goes off the Florida State dude's head, and the punter recovers it. They're just making up new forms of misery for Florida State, specifically for these Florida State fans. Yeah. That was unbelievable, Mac.
Yeah. It was. And it was a atrocious game. It was a terrible game, yucky game. Somebody had to win, I guess. And that's when NC State said, we'll take this. Thank you for the gift. You boxed it very nicely. Do you want the wrapping paper back? Do you want the bow back? That's kind of, how they ask them there. And it was crazy. I mean, it's literally the worst case scenario. It's the worst way to lose. It's the most creative way, to lose. Literally a guy getting dinged in the head. Ball goes flying back to the line of scrimmage. Like literally the punter is standing where he kicked the ball and the ball's just there again. He's like, how'd this happen? Their ball. And then he runs off. He runs off the field and hands it to Dave Doran. Dave Doran's just laughing his butt off. So funny. And then they do it again. And look, like Squirrel White sitting back there. I'm like, here we go. Big return opportunity here. And when I saw his hands go like this, and then like he did it right before, I'm like, oh my God, no way. And there it goes. Ball squirts out, which is horrible. Like that's the worst feeling ever. I can't even imagine mentally where that guy's going to be. And then they score on a 4th down. Like Florida State stops them again for the 3rd straight time. And they're like, we're going to go for it on 4th down and score a touchdown, which was a great pass and catch, by Joe Lee there in the end zone. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine. And it stinks. At the end of the day, somebody has to lose. We love both these teams, love both these fan bases and these head coaches. Tough year for both. Again, I talk about these recaps because it's coming up. I mean, it's one of the more fun things that we do because you really just get to sit back and think about it. This team won 2 games a year ago. Like, they were the worst Florida State team ever. And just because the one massive win that they have, we're sitting here thinking that they're going to be this crazy, unbelievable team, and still they're trying to figure it out. So I think the interesting thing with that is it was announced Coach Norvell is coming back and will be there, which also I hate. Like, why do we have to he's back? Why do we have to have these like emergency posts by the football team or articles coming out? And okay, great. Like he's back. He's back. It's just weird.
Well,
it's weird.
Probably for roster situations, I guess, for players to stay.
Yeah, maybe it is a positive. You're right. For recruits and all.
Right,
maybe it
that's
is.
what
It's
I'm
like a
thinking.
boost of confidence, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Like you said, Mac, this season has been a step in the right direction. How big of a step is debatable, but they beat Bama. I mean, it's so mind-blowing to think back to the fact that happened. Yeah. What I find interesting is you're putting out that statement and you're going into the Florida game. I mean, Florida's 3-8, you're 5-6. Like, woof. We thought Clemson, Carolina was going to be bad. I mean, that one may be worse. But I thought that the benchmark was going to be bowl eligibility. So it's interesting to announce this before Florida State, Florida, when, if they lose, they don't make a bowl. And maybe you consider it more, or do you think it's more?
Maybe that's why they did it,
Yeah, I get that. Like, I think, and of course, it's just one game. Are we going to say he's going to stay one game versus not? But I do think with this roster, with the money that Florida State has invested in this roster, I think making a bowl is a fair, like, requirement, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
so to have already announced it, I can understand why Florida State fans are frustrated. There's no guarantee that this team makes a bowl. But when you look at the greater landscape of all that's going on in college football, are you going to go get someone better?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and can the thing with Florida State too, can you just keep firing people? Like, is that sustainable?
I
So
know.
giving him one more year, I understand. I just thought maybe it would be maybe they thought, oh, we'll beat NC State and then we can announce it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no
Mm-hmm.
guarantee this team's getting to a
I
bowl.
know. I know. Yeah, it is brutal. And you know, you're playing a just a bad Florida team, which, you know, is interesting. I think Tennessee was winning like 31-0
Yeah,
at halftime. And
yeah,
then I don't know, they just didn't want to play anymore and let Florida score a little bit towards the
felt
end
like
of the
that.
game. Yeah, I mean, you've got to win it. You've got
And
to
it's
win
at
that.
Florida.
Yeah, it's at the Swamp, which, you know, tough place to play. We'll see. It's 4:30. It's like a weird time on E2. 4:30 on E2. Kind of strange, but it's like a CW time. What are we doing? This
Yeah,
is
it
weird.
is.
You're infringing on copyright times here. But yeah, it's tough. So we'll see. You know, long road ahead. And you know, shout out NC State going bowling. And I just love Coach Doran's, you know, comments after the game. He's like, we're backs against the wall. Nobody believes on us, and we get it done. And that's true, because that's what happens all the time to them.
But what is
Fascinated to
it?
see their offseason too. I know. I know. We'll see.
Bowl eligibility, and of course, they still have North Carolina, which that game is always fun, always delivers. I think we can agree, Mac, just wrapping up this Florida State conversation. This next year, this is the year. It's the make or break year for Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
And I would argue you're probably gonna have to win 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
I would guess,
Well,
right?
you'll have to. They'll fire you mid-season. Like you'll
Yeah.
have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, it won't be there won't be any 500. You know, you
No.
get to 500 or worse, it's done.
I think
It'll be
8
over.
is like the minimum,
Yeah.
bare minimum. And you can't lose any embarrassing games like
Mhm.
Stanford, for example.
Mhm.
Okay, we agree there. We're on the same page. Mac, okay, I thought the punt was gonna be the craziest thing we saw all weekend, the punt off the Florida State guy's head. That was probably still craziest, but Duke beats North Carolina 32-25. Duke down 1 with 2:20 to go, faking the field goal. I think that's crazier. Because you can just kick a field goal
Yeah.
and go up.
Yeah.
Manny Diaz on the road, he truly just says, you know,
Who cares? See what
who
happens.
cares? Who cares? He went for 2 at Clemson. He's doing this. It worked. Duke wins the game. They were 5 for 6 on 4th downs, which was crazy. They didn't neither team had a turnover in this game, and Duke
Mhm.
had the ball for 36 minutes. Pretty unbelievable. I couldn't believe that play, Mac. I couldn't believe
No,
it.
it was a pretty crazy call. You know, and seeing it executed,
Crazy.
you know, the guy first of all, he should
And
have
it
scored.
worked.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Get in the freaking end zone. You're gonna
But
run
Mac
all that
also hates
way.
specialists, so he's
Yeah,
being a little
like
hard on
be
him.
an athlete, dude. Jump. You're like an inch away. You know,
But Mac, they
extend the
aren't
ball.
athletes, they're specialists.
That's right. You know what? Would have been crazy. He jumps, sticks the ball out, fumble, turnover. And it's
Bubble
just
off the
like,
end zone,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, worst thing ever. So
Exactly.
maybe it was the best decision. Just get down there. But yeah, weird game. You know, Darian Mincy, you just expect him to take over, do his thing, explode, and it's just like, nah, you know, whatever. We'll figure it out. Get it going here. Nate Shepard ran the ball super well. I mean, it's so interesting that, you know, him and Castle, I've seen them both like go off at different times. And this one was, I mean, it was pretty balanced. You know, Shepard had all the yards, Castle got all the touchdowns, had 3 touchdowns himself here. You know, still continuing to be such a weird year, you know, for North Carolina. Obviously, they will not go bowling. We kind of set the standard there and kind of thought, okay, Super Bowl winning coach, greatest NFL guy ever. Bowling's good. Like you'll go
Yeah,
bowling,
yeah.
and maybe not. And, you know, they're obviously playing an NC State team next week that cannot wait to see them coming down the track. And super excited there. And a Duke team that, you know, just weird team, weird year, weird
Weird.
team. I had some decent expectations for them and thought we were going to see some really good stuff. And, you know, it's been weird. I think something to build on, but a little disappointed in the Blue Devils.
The non-conference, their out-of-conference
Yeah,
performances
that's probably the biggest rub.
were just brutal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough to see. Mac, I don't think we have anything to say about Notre Dame 70, Syracuse 7.
It's the craziest start of the game I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. Like these guys, I think it was only 21 points, Yeah, interception, punt. Yeah. Yeah, 21 points, and Notre Dame had 0 yards on offense.
That's
That's crazy. It's a
unbelievable.
crazy. And then you had a backup, I'm trying to look up his name real quick. You had a backup for Notre Dame that has 2 touchdowns. Like, this dude doesn't ever get anything. He has a pick six and a block punt to the house. You're just like, "What? This is
Crazy.
nuts. This is nuts." Notre Dame's a really good football team. Listen, as mad as I've been at them because they're in front of Miami, whatever, but they're good. They're really,
Yeah,
really good.
they
And
are.
they're obviously playing their best right now. Jeremiah Love, freaky. I mean, Heisman Trophy caliber guy, had a huge game. And they know it. Like, that was intentional what they did for the
Sure, you
Heisman
got to.
and for the
Yeah,
playoff. I mean, it was very, very intentional. And it was cool, seeing Coach Freeman and Coach have a moment after the game there. Coach Brown have a moment after the game there, just talking about who knows what. And then he, we heard from Coach Brown after the game. He's like, you learn a lesson in that. Like, that's what I want my team to look like.
you got
There's
to.
guys over there. There's, dudes over there. This is how we want to be. And just for Cuse fans, if you're watching, maybe you're not, maybe crawl in a cave, for the rest of the year. I don't know. Clemson got put 70 on 2, and it ended up being the best decade of our lives after that because they learned from it. So we'll see. Not saying you're necessarily going to do that, but who knows? Maybe 2 titles coming your way. I don't know.
But that's what Notre Dame has to they realize, like, they've gotta go out
Yeah.
there and beat teams like that because they need all the style points in the world.
Mhm.
Maybe it does help Miami a bit and hurts Notre Dame that Southern Cal also lost this week, but, whatever, we will see. Stanford beats Cal 31-10. This was pretty dominating from Stanford. They held Cal to
Mhm.
12 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Cal could not run it. The 3 fumbles were brutal. So Stanford gets the win, and Cal fires their coach, even though Cal's
Mhm.
already bowl eligible.
I
It's just
know.
so interesting.
It is
So
interesting.
interesting.
And you've got, a superstar freshman that
I assume
now
you're
his
gonna
coach
lose him
is
now.
gone. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe those conversations already had. Maybe they said we're going to go get an offensive guy. I don't know. We'll see
Sure.
what they do and who they hire. So now Stanford and Cal without head coaches right now. Very appealing to go out west if you want to do that type of thing. Super Saiyan effort by them. I mean, Micah Ford, freaky. This dude's had a really good year. 150 yards on the ground, 5 sacks by the defense, a bunch of tackles for loss by Stanford. And you heard Stanford Steve, or if you didn't see it on social media, that guy's like freaking out, cussing on podcasts. He's so excited about the win. Andrew Luck's getting interviewed mid-game, and he's going berserk from like a fumble or a pick six, whatever it was, defensive touchdown, for Stanford there. So all is well for the Cardinal.
I
Even though maybe they're
guess they're
not
4-7.
Hey, life's good. Life's good.
4-8 probably is a step
Yeah.
in the right direction for Stanford overall.
We'll
I'm
see.
assuming you're gonna get beat by Notre
Yeah.
Dame by 50 million.
Who knows?
All right,
Who knows?
Mac, before we get out of here, the Deeks beat Delaware.
Huge.
52-14. I think we're possibly talking 9-win Deeks, so that's huge.
Yeah.
Clemson beats Furman 45-10. We know a lot of Clemson fans watch the show. We've got to talk about Clemson just in general with the backup quarterback situation,
Mhm.
and just what the quarterback showed. Now, Chris Denson was pretty electric at the
Yeah.
end of the game. Now, Mac and I are both, how do I say this, Mac? When you see some quotes after the game saying, oh, it's going to be fun to see Vizina and Chris Denson battle it out, it was Furman. It was Furman. Denson, I thought he did some really cool things. He's obviously an athlete. He obviously, he was great. He was great. But it is a little concerning when you project forward that perhaps that's going to be the same quarterback room looking ahead, especially if Clemson finds a way to win 8 games. Mac, do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I was disappointed to see that. Just because
That quote, you mean? The
that
quote
quote.
from
Well,
Dabo,
I
yeah.
mean, the game too. I mean, it wasn't great. I know the
Sure.
scores.
I mean, yeah, the game wasn't great. You had to put
Hey, listen, we're
his
happy of
defense
all
back
wins.
in.
All right, we're happy for all wins. We love wins
That's
this
true.
year.
That's true.
Which is crazy, but it is disappointing just because you're hoping that a season like this would spark some change, would spark some,
And maybe it still will.
and maybe it will. Maybe he's just talking whatever. Who knows?
Sure. Sure.
You can't stay the same. And
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I know.
I think
Maybe we
you
could
need to
save
go
it.
get a
Maybe we save it.
quarterback. You need to go get a quarterback.
Yes.
To either push, to help push, whatever. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You need some offensive linemen too. They look pretty bad. I think I'm kind of just done on doing these tapes because it's like just hurts to do it.
Sure.
But there's one to be had. Let me tell you, it was not fun to watch. But hey, you rushed for 200 yards, you scored 445 points. Antonio Williams, let me talk about him. Freak. He is so good.
He's going to be missed.
So fun to watch. He's going to be missed. Clemson will be fine at receiver, but he is a monster. He's such a beast. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Like, it's crazy. Crazy stat line for a senior day. Sammy Brown, too. Sammy Brown is such a good player. I am excited to see Sammy Brown versus Lenore Sellers next week. We didn't get to see that a year ago. We were in dime, nickel, a sweet, bold strategy. Didn't work. Keep him on the field, I think, is the first thing. Jaheim Lawson goes down. He's out for the year. That's not great. And then admittedly shouldn't even have been in the game when it happened. That's frustrating. So we'll see. Tigers get the win, though. It's hate week. Can't stand those chickens. Can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait. And Mac's going to be, lives in Columbia. So
I'm spreading propaganda all week. Don't even worry.
That's going to be a big one, Mac. I mean, a big one for just Clemson and Carolina fans. It doesn't matter outside of that.
It's national relevance. It went from ABC to the SEC network. That's a huge move.
Truly, I think Florida State, Florida's worse. So if there's any, any silver lining, and Kentucky, Louisville is definitely worse. Georgia Tech, ready for that one.
All I got to say is ACC needs to handle business. All right. We'll see.
Need it.
We'll see.
Need it
Big
back.
weekend. We're going to have a great guest on Wednesday. Cannot wait to share that with you guys. And then Friday, rivalry week. It's going to be big. Cannot wait. It's going to be fun. Let's hang in there. We got one more.
Let's hang in there.
It's wild. Fun times. Appreciate y'all going on this journey with us. Go subscribe. Jump in the comments. Tell us what you think about the year. I don't know. Do you want to go back to divisions? Do you want to share some recipes too? Let's talk recipes.
Ooh,
Thanksgiving's like right here. We're going to have some fun content coming. Can't wait to see KG. She's smoking and frying a turkey. Super excited for all that. And until next time, we'll see y'all.
Rollback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips, custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rollback, period.